Sometimes failing can help us level up in life. What's up, friends? Paul here, and welcome to The Beautiful Mess. I'm super excited to be talking to you today about failure and why that could actually be helpful for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be failure. Let me just say that first of all, it doesn't have to be failure. It can be also problems that you encounter. Because let's say you're working on something and all of a sudden things don't go the way that you planned, and it happens. And all of a sudden you realize, okay, I got this roadblock. Now what I do? I recently experienced this when my web hosting went down. I lost a total of 4 websites that I had built, custom built, and I had even some backups on the web hosting servers. I had some locally, but not enough for all the site. Like the backups that I had was not, it wouldn't get me back to where I was. So basically I had lost some valuable data. And so I was really disappointed. Let me just be frank about that. But what I decided to do was to realize that this is an opportunity. I can find an alternative. And I've always been interested in Amazon, like their servers or just like cloud-based servers that you can basically, instead of like getting your typical hosting from something like HostGator or Bluehost or WP Engine, Kinsta, like there's so many different web host options out there. I decided to try out AWS servers, which is a little bit more advanced. And so I've looked into it in the past and I was like, it's a little bit of a headache. I'll just go with the easy route for now. And so finally I decided like, hey, this is the opportunity. I lost these sites. And so I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. And it was a great learning experience. I got it all set up and they're working right now. Who knows? But it was a good learning experience because then now I'm familiar with AWS servers. I know how to create an instance. That's what it's called. It's like basically you have like this virtual machine, and I've got like Ubuntu running. Let me just say, I am a big fan of Ubuntu. I used it when I was Ubuntu. I used it when I was growing up. I was a computer nerd, always probably will be. But I would basically install that on my like family's computer because Ubuntu, and actually I sometimes would run this alternate of it, a light version of it called Xubuntu. And that would make the computer so much faster. I don't know if you realized it, but probably the main reason why your computer was going so slow back probably in the early days of computing, it was because Windows is such a resource hog. And let's be real, like they didn't really optimize the software as much as it is now. And then also we just have a lot more resources readily available, higher RAM amounts. SSDs obviously like make your computer run a lot faster. So, it was just like getting back to the roots of like the fun, just like playing around with computers and shell scripts, SSH, the terminal, sudo, aptitude, all those commands. It was like coming back to me. It was fun. Anyways. If you're not a techie, this is probably boring you to tears. So yeah, like basically, I could have just been like, oh, I'll just spend more money and get another host. But instead I saw this as an opportunity to take, something that I was interested in learning and actually doing it. So sometimes you have to realize that there could be an opportunity available to you. It's not to say that it won't hurt. It hurt. Losing those servers, but sometimes when the problem presents itself, you can determine the solution that will bring about the best results. And so, like, the other thing is, like, I realized that sometimes, like, I would spend so much time researching silly things. And what happened was, I was like, hey, this is great. Like, I can share this with other people that might have the same questions I did. And so that was kind of gave birth to my YouTube channel. So I realized the problem. I spend too much time researching things. What can I do that's good out of that? Is I can share that wealth of information with those that might be having similar questions. So that, you can often turn sometimes maybe a little bit of a negative thing into a positive thing by just realizing, okay, what is good about this? I'm gaining a lot of information. The bad news is I'm spending a lot of time on this, and I probably shouldn't be, because I should probably just go with something, because like we're going to be talking about, failing forward, you'll often get where you need to go faster. And that was like, I learned a lot I had like a computer business where I'd help people in like the area fixing their problems with their computer. Most of the times, computer problems are not the same. But once you get good about identifying, okay, what is the problem? How can I solve it? You become a good problem solver. And I think that's the key. It's like, in life, you just have to be good problem solvers. Like, you realize there's a problem. You try something. Does it work? Does it not? Then you have to adjust that to try something else, and then see what you can do. The other thing I'll say is, sometimes you just have to take a break from something. Let's say you've been working on a hard project. You've been, applying yourself to getting things dialed in, and you just feel like, oh man, I've been working on this problem for so long, and I just feel like I haven't been able to get anywhere with this. And so what I would recommend is just stepping back a little bit and giving yourself some time. I did this the other day when I think I was setting up the AWS server, and something went wrong. I think it was like, I tried installing another WordPress site on the same server. It just wasn't appearing. I was like, what's going on? Like, I followed the steps. It should be perfect. And I like went to bed. I was just like, okay, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to just go to bed. And then in the morning, I'll figure out something. And sure enough, I think it just needed time for, maybe the cache to get cleaned out, or for the instance to just, for the WordPress install to like settle in, I guess. But pretty much when I got in there the next day, I was able to get it up and running in no time at all. So, or at least a lot less time than it probably would have taken me if I would have stayed there and just like kept at it. So you kind of need like a combination of both, like the determination of like getting something done, but then also the reality of just, maybe you need to take a break from it, or maybe it's not worth your time. Maybe you just, but yeah, I really recommend like, look at the problem as an opportunity to learn and grow, because sure enough, other people will probably encounter similar problems and issues, and hopefully you can help others with the information that you gained along the way. So just see it as an opportunity. And what I would encourage you to do maybe is to make a list of all your problems right now, and maybe there's one or two of them where you could see it as an opportunity, maybe to learn something new, maybe to explore something, and see it in a different light. Because yes, we are faced like probably every day. You're faced with a new problem. Could be a very simple one, or it could be a very complex one. But often we're faced with problems. So coming up with good methods of addressing problems is a good thing to figure out, and just have like a good system. Like, hey, I'm going to solve this. And the good news is like you can use the skill in many different settings. I mean, you can monetize it. You can help others that experience that same problem. Once you learn, I learned how to like do this process or to build a website, let's say, because before you didn't know and you're like, what should I do? Like you embrace the uncertainty of starting a website. You went online, searched how to do the process, and you figured it out. And now you can use that skill to help other people. And so whether you want to charge for that or you want to make it, your way of giving back to others, you can definitely do that. Because like making a gift of your knowledge and information can be useful to other people. For example, like, if people ask me about a certain product or a certain thing and I've used it before, I'm glad to provide feedback of like, this is going to be great for you, or you might want to consider this instead. And so it's just something to keep in mind, is that these skills and the problems that you encounter are opportunities for growth and learning and development. And you're going to improve as you go along. And you'll gain confidence, because like when you first start doing something, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be perfect. But as you learn, like let's say, for example, let's continue with the computer example. Let's say that you want to start a computer business. The good thing is if you start fixing a lot of computers, you'll come in contact with a ton of different situations, and perhaps you'll start seeing a pattern, or you just create almost this library of information that you can easily fix the most common problems or know where to look for answers, because that's a lot of it, is just knowing where to look, knowing how to search, knowing what resources are good and trustworthy. And so the more you're able to test the waters and see what works, what doesn't, and to advance your skills, the more marketable you are as an individual, because you can now offer a wider range of skills. You can work on projects faster, which just makes everything better. So that's my encouragement is don't look at problems as a negative all the time. Look at them as an opportunity for figuring things out. I'm trying to think of some other examples that I can share with you. Right now, I'm thinking of a lot of computer examples, probably just because I've been working on doing some web work and development, like coding stuff, learning that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I think it's something that you can apply in all areas of life. Let's say you have the issue of going to bed on time. Like that's a problem. Okay, so what can you learn about getting to bed sooner? How can you, and this is something that I've been working on, is like just having a hard stop at 11 o'clock. Like instead of, let me just push things a little bit extra. It's like, no, for me to function as well as I can, I'm going to have to set a hard stop and to say like, okay, I've got this amount of time left. So like that really helped me in being better able to determine, going to bed at the right time. It was just kind of setting a boundary and saying like, hey, I've got this amount of time left. So usually, after dinner, we get the kids to bed, and then I look at the clock and maybe I have like 3 hours left. And I'm like, okay, I've got 3 hours left before I'm going to hit bed, because I know that's going to be what's best for me. And I think it helps frame it in that mindset, instead of being like, I don't know, in the past, maybe I just didn't have a sense of like finitude, like an end point. But now it's like, okay, I've got my end point at 11 p.m. and I'm just going to work backwards. And I'm just going to be like, hey, if I want to do these things, I'm going to fit in as much as I can. But at 11 o'clock, when that time hits, I'm done. So that's one way that you can apply it, is just setting like a boundary and realizing what works. Like, for example, maybe you need to set a reminder on your phone. Maybe that helps like trigger that onset. Or, I keep going back to Atomic Habits, but it's so good. It's so good. So for building habits, you want to make it obvious, easy to start, easy to do, and visible. Visible, easy to start. Did I skip one? Easy to start, visible, and something like that. But basically, you want to make it so that you can easily get into doing the habit that you want to create, and not making it a lengthy process of, first I need to do this step, then I need to do this step. You just simplify it or attach it, habit stacking as they call it, where you take something that you already do. Maybe you could just start stacking like a routine of like, I brush my teeth, I do this, and then I go to bed. And so, as soon as you start brushing your teeth, you're going to be in bed in about 10 minutes, And so you maybe set like an alarm at 10:50. I've got to brush my teeth at 10:50, so I'm in bed at 11. So yeah, those are just some ideas for you on this beautiful day. Hopefully it's beautiful when you listen to this. If not, it's a beautiful mess, so it's all good. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Beautiful Mess. If you want to be part of the Messy fam, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and all that great stuff wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, my friends, stay messy.